I've said it before, but I will say it again. Peacock are making some pretty incredible watches for the money. Today I have a watch from the brand that is extremely detailed. It's an integrated bracelet watch. It gets a very intricate dial that is made by hand by one artisan that does 16 different zones of guilloche in 5 different directions. This is a very complicated dial to make, and I have one hands-on to show you guys. So let's flip the camera and take a look at the plumage gaze from Peacock. I know I've said it a few times because I have featured a number of Peacock watches here on my channel, but the quality that you get from Peacock is extremely high. This is in the territory that you would get from Swiss luxury brands, but you're not paying the price because it is Chinese made. This gets a handmade dial. The dial on here is a horse for the year of the horse. When you look closely at this dial, you will only notice that pattern that makes a horse until you look very closely. Otherwise, from far away, it just looks like a beautifully textured dial. However, there are 2,000 individual cuts on this dial done by hand. And it's all done by one person, Master Wei Sheng, who's the person who does all of the dials for these limited editions. So 2,000 different cuts in this dial. It gets 16 different zones. Each one of those zones are a little bit different, and there are 5 different directions on the dial, so those cuts are going in 5 different directions. When you think about that, it takes a lot of work to make each one of these dials. Each one of these dials is really a piece of art because it does make a little tiny piece of art on your wrist. This is the green dial. There is, I believe, a blue dial, I want to say. There's another dial color. I'm not entirely sure which dial color that is. However, it gets the same artwork. It's a guilloche pattern. So like I said, this is all done by hand, and the machine that's used is a machine that was actually made by the person who makes the dials, specifically to make dials like this that are a little bit different. And it's all being done in China, so you're not paying tons of money. There are very popular brands out there, I've said this in the past, that make very similar watches to these that cost tens of thousands of dollars because of where it's made. This is in 904L stainless steel. Pretty much all they use is 904L stainless steel. When you look at the integration of the bracelet to the case, it is beautiful and actually a very original design. You could see there's this sort of triangle here that it flows into the center portion of each one of the links on this bracelet. You have a beautiful polished edge on each side, and then you have a polished edge that goes down the entirety of the bracelet, and then each interior of each one of the links is also polished. So a beautifully made bracelet. It's almost like a 5-sided case. It's really not because the lugs are part of the case, but it kind of looks like that. It just doesn't look like a circular case. It doesn't look like a tonneau shaped case. It's a really original design. You have a screwed in case back. You have 6 screws on the back. You have 6 screws on the front. Screws are holding in the bracelet. Obviously, all of the links are screwed in because this is a very nicely made watch. They've put a lot of thought into the bracelet, into basically everything that is going into this watch, including the materials and the design. And you have some quirky little features besides the dial, which I think is a pretty quirky feature on this watch. You have hands, those are filled with lume. You have indices, those are applied, and those are also filled with lume. You have a gold second hand. So the second hand on here is gold. Everything else is in silver except for that second hand. It looks good. When you look at it close, it looks really good against that green background. It fits together really well. I think it looks fantastic. You have crown guards. You don't get a screwed in crown. And when you pull out that crown, it feels really solid. It feels very nicely made. Inside here is their thin caliber. So they make a thin caliber that is excellent. I have a few watches. I've featured a few watches with that caliber here on my channel, and it is thin and good looking and really nicely decorated. This is around a 38.9 millimeter watch. It depends on how you measure it, but if you include those crown guards, obviously it's a little bit bigger. Not including those, it's under 39 millimeters. 9.5 millimeters thick, so not very thick, again, including 100 meters of water resistant sapphire crystal in the front which is very slightly raised off of the brushed bezel. You have screws in the bezel, which are very custom. And of course, you have anti-reflective coating on that sapphire crystal. And then a lug to lug is pretty long on here because you do have male end length, so it's around 55 millimeters. If you measure at the case, it is much smaller, but it doesn't wear like that, so definitely keep that in mind. On my wrist today, I think we have the best watch that Peacock has ever made, in my opinion, thus far. Although I haven't seen all of their watches. This is a hand guilloche dial and a hand-finished ultra-thin tourbillon. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is a beautiful watch, and it is very thin as well. I did a review on this watch. I did a whole video on it. I featured it on my Instagram a bunch of times. It is really cool. I'll throw a link to that video up above if you are interested in seeing this watch. And there is the plumage gaze on my 7.5 inch wrist, and it looks like a luxury watch. This looks beautiful on my wrist. It really does look very expensive. It looks thin, it's automatic, it has a beautiful guilloche dial, a beautiful bracelet that is really nicely finished. It's 904L stainless steel, and it is thin. It just looks really good. I have a 7.5 inch wrist, like I was saying. This is under 39 millimeters, 9.5 millimeters thick. And the lug to lug on my wrist is not a problem whatsoever because the lugs do turn down, and it's around 55 millimeters. That's including the bracelet, but it really doesn't wear that way. Lume isn't bad on here. It has lume because technically this is a sports watch. You are getting 100 meters of water resistance. It's an integrated bracelet, and you're getting that hand finished dial. So this is an elevated sports watch. It comes in at $3,099. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of money, but when you consider what you are actually getting here, the 904L stainless steel, the ultra thin movement, the incredibly beautiful dial that is made by hand, by one person. All of these dials are made by one single master. When you look at this dial, it is perfect. It is really nicely done, I have to say. $3,099, not all that much money. If you wanted one of these, if it said made in Switzerland on the dial, it would be tens of thousands of dollars. If it was made in Germany, it would be tens of thousands of dollars. If it was made in Japan, tens of thousands of dollars. It's made in China, so it's $3,099. Pretty amazing. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Peacock? I bring you guys Peacock watches because I find them amazing for the price. The value here is extremely high compared to what you get from other major brands from outside of China. China does offer very good value and sometimes good quality. In this case, you are getting excellent quality and good value. So that is kind of rare even when we're talking about Chinese watchmaking. This is an extremely high-end watch that you are not paying high-end money for. So in my book, this is very cool. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next video.